Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are back for another live show. It is April the 5th, 2021, and tonight we have a very, very special guest. You can tell by the title of this show that this is going to be a good show and a very informative show. And I guarantee you, everybody that watches this show has not seen a member of this family in the flesh. So we're going to get right into it. The guest for tonight is the eighth generation grandson of Kunta Kinte, the nephew of Alex Haley, the maker of Roots. He's also an accomplished actor in his own right. He's an archivist for the state of Maryland, and I'm going to let him tell his own story. We're going to get into it. So everybody come in, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, so you can get all the notifications for future shows. Friday, 7 p.m. we have Bo McIntyre to break down the fight between Jamel Herring and Carl Frampton. So you don't want to miss that. So without further ado, we're going to bring in Walk-In History. We all grew up on this movie. We all know the story. Some of us went to school the next day with a different attitude after watching that show. So we're gonna get right into it for everybody. He's clowning. For everybody, welcome to the stage, the 8 times great grandson of Kunta Kinte, Chris Haley. He's got the T'Challa.
Wakanda forever. Friend of mine got me now. You gotta represent. You gotta represent.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Nothing much. I just got in from a walk, so I did my little steps for my doctor and my copay and my cholesterol. So I did what I could do, make myself represent for you and glow a little bit for the people.
Yeah, I did my time at the doctor's office today, poking and prodding. And does this hurt? What you think?
Right. It would hurt less if you stop poking and prodding. Believe me.
Yeah. Don't turn my leg that way. It won't hurt.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. You the first time I met you, when somebody told me who you were, excuse me, I was like, "Are you serious? That is who?" Kunta Kinte is his great grandfather. Okay, come on, I got to go introduce myself. So, man, why don't you tell us first of all, what is it like to have that type of lineage?
Well, I mean, it's a good question because I think one of the things that I always like people to know is just that it is something that just happens overnight, and it doesn't really change you internally. It changes more about what people perceive about you, and with that, what I mean is that I was the same person on January 22nd, 1970, whatever the year was, 77, the day before Roots came out, than I was January 23rd when it did come out. It's just that the perception of me was very different, and so then I had to change my recognition of the perception of me, and I think that's what, for many people, that it's hard to understand and hard to comprehend, and it's hard to comprehend for myself. I mean, when I talk to you, and when your cousin Ken, and you say that you're related to Frederick Douglass, then I'm the same way. I'm like, what? Really? It's that same sort of startling thing, because when people become lionized and like icons in your worldview, when you meet anyone who is in the reality, it's hard to accept that, because you just feel like I'm just normal everyday guy, goes to work, eats lunch, eats dinner, has a drink sometimes with my friends, and then all of a sudden you realize that this person that you're talking to is related to someone that there's books written about, that there's movies produced about, and that there's people who have conferences and statues and holidays dedicated in their name. And it's really hard to conceive of that, because we go to school and we spend so many times in school talking about, quote unquote, famous people. And most of those people are people who have gone on, or people who are already gone to meet the maker. And we're talking about what they achieved. And hardly ever do you come in contact with anybody who basically cements them in real life like you are with your own family. And I think that's one of the things about my uncle Alex, was that he was all about family. And that's the whole thing about Roots, which it's about family. It's about our family. It's about your family. It's about people who are watching your podcast today, about all the different members of their family who, if by any chance they were to win the lotto, then they'd have many more family members. That's for sure. They won the lotto all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking that DNA swab. But
especially if you die suddenly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an heir.
Yeah, you know, that was $5 years ago, but with interest, woo, I got a car coming.
Yeah, like I didn't tell him I wanted interest, but no, did you sign anything? No, I didn't sign anything, but I just think that's owed to me.
Right. Well, that's how it is, you know. That's how it is. But then all of a sudden, your whole life changes. I met through via phone call. I met Bill Cosby's nephew once, and that was when we were doing some events to promote I think fundraising for the Alex Haley Museum. It's on the city dock in Annapolis, and it was crazy because I was just talking to him. I said, "You're a nephew and I'm a nephew. What's it like for you?" And he said, "It's crazy." He said, "It's because," he says, "I'm still the same guy. You know, nothing has legitimately changed for me, except for the fact that," he said, "Bill Cosby did pay for his college or his high school education or something like that." But he said he didn't see him all the time. He didn't, you know, he wasn't like, they weren't like best buds, whatever, but he knew who he was. But he said that for other people, there's always that element, which I guess is also hard to deal with, is that people just believe you because they don't believe that you're related to someone who's that famous. And they want you to somehow prove to them that you're famous or that you're related to somebody famous. Yeah. And then you think, well, how can I do that? I mean, because that person's not here to say, oh yeah, that's my nephew Terrence, or that's my nephew Chris. They're not there. So what do you prove? You know, you bring up a picture, say, you see my forehead? we've got the Haley forehead. Can't you see that? There's, right. You know, and then you end up going through that phase which I went through, where you sort of didn't say it. You would just be like, if they would say to you, or they say to me, any relation, I'd say, oh. And I would just laugh it off, because I knew that if I said yes, it would become this, no, you're not. And then I'd say, oh my gosh, well, you just asked me. I try to be honest, and now you're going to deny me and say, well, you know what? Let's just go back to when I was just Chris and you didn't know my last name. So, and then I just be whoever I am. And then later on, when somebody else says who I am, then you'll be like, oh, really? Wow, you know what? And then it always becomes, I thought you were, I thought you were related to him. You know what? When I saw you look like him, then everything gets affirmed for that person too. So it's a mixed bag. You know, I'm very proud and very happy and very empowered with it. But at the same time, it almost comes with a lot of, I guess it depends on how you hold it, pressure to represent. And you feel like there's a sort of a responsibility sometimes to feel harder about something, or more serious about something, or more affected by something than you might normally be, because people are looking at you as being the barometer of how they should react. And sometimes you don't want to be the barometer, because you deal with it so often. And quite frankly, when I watch Roots, the first time I watched Roots, I'm watching that show just like anybody who's watching the program. I don't want Kunta Kinte to get caught. Right. You know, I mean, he's a hero. He's a hero. He's been kidnapped and he's trying to escape because he wants to be free. You know, I want him to escape. You know, I really literally want him to escape. Each and every time he runs away, I want him to escape. But then I'm thinking, well, Chris, if he escapes, you're not here. If Tom Lee doesn't rape Kizzy, you're not here. If all these horrible things that happen in your life story which is shared with millions and millions of people worldwide, if those horrible things don't happen, you're not here. So it's almost like that thing about you have to, I mean, it's what we all deal with. Well, different people at different times to different folks. And even when I'm watching Roots, I'm different people while I'm watching it. You know, I'm the actual descendant, and then I'm a person who enjoys TV. Because like you said, I've been in movies, I've been in some TV shows, I've written my own things, I've been in plays. So I know what it is to have a likable character, a character you care for, and a character to whom tragedy happens. And when the tragedy happens, you don't feel good. So it's double, double, double for me when I don't feel good about something that happened to someone who's in my own life. And then you go the next day and you've got to, again, go back to whoever you are. Now I go back to being an archivist and study slavery and study the ramifications of inequality toward Black people. And I'm thinking about what happened to my own family. And sometimes it's kind of hard to think gray skies are going to clear up, put on a happy face. and you're thinking what happened in your own life, and you've got to be professional and not just want to haul off and, I don't know, get real with somebody about how bad some things really, 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 really bother you. Because
and some people aren't strong enough to hear it.
No, they're not. You're not. And I cannot tell you how many times that I think it's a double, and I don't know if I already used the term double-edged sword. If I did, sorry, you can't edit it out. I hate to be redundant, but I feel like because as an archivist, my title is Director of the Study of the Legacy of Slavery in Maryland. So that's one weighty thing to be. And then to be a descendant of Kunta Kinte and a nephew of Alex Haley, who's known for probably two things more than anything else: Roots and the autobiography of Malcolm X. So that's very different from being known for Mary Poppins or being known for Disney movies, right? It's got its own baggage or its own weight that goes with that. And so I go to some places and I go to some parties and I'm just hanging around with family members, and someone will find out who I am, and then they start asking me questions. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just here to eat. Like, it's dinner time. It really looks good over there.
If you're going to play some spades, let's play some spades.
Yeah, I know, right? You know, I play a little game, watch some football. That's what I'm about right now. And they want to ask me what I think about slavery. Was slavery really that bad a thing? I mean, I've been asked that twice in my life. And I really thought, wow, really? What gives you the right to ask me that question? What in me allows you to feel that you can ask me that question without me hauling off and being Mike Tyson on you or whatever? Not that I'm big and with a scar on my face, but what makes you think that's okay? What about me makes you think it's okay to ask that question? Except somehow you think I represent all sorts of the African American experience, where if I can get a palatable answer out of him, then maybe I'm okay. Or maybe it's not so bad if he doesn't haul off and hit me, or if he doesn't storm off and, you know, call me names or say I'm racist or whatever. And chances are I probably thought, well, you are racist. The second you answered that question, I probably thought, oh, well, you're racist. You're done.
How would somebody expect for you to react when they ask you, do you think that slavery was that bad? And knowing who your ancestor is, who got his foot chopped off.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. And what is this guy going to think about it? You know, or they chopped his foot off. Oh, well, maybe he might have been okay with it. Really? You know, so
I mean, did they really think that I'm going to say, well, you know, I'm glad because he didn't escape and that's why I'm here? It's like, no. I mean, there's things that happen that you don't want to have happen, no matter what it means to your own life. You don't wish certain horrible things on anybody. And when and when I was asked that question, my first thought was, I looked around. It's almost like you go to a different
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Twilight Zone. And you stand there under, I know at the Banneker Douglas Museum, if you go on the second floor where they exhibit, there's a little cone. And under that cone, you actually hear the narration of a specific exhibit that's right in front of you. But if you step outside of the cone, then you hear it in the background, but it's not there. And that's how I felt like. I felt like I was in this cone, and I tried to look past this person who asked me the question to see, did anybody else hear this person ask me this? And what do you think? what do you, who did not feel like you had the right to ask me that question, or the opening to ask me that question, how do you feel I should ask? Or better yet, come pull this person away from me and get them out of my face and have them go away, because that's not something I should have to deal with.
You know the crazy part? That they would ask you that in the Banneker Douglas Museum.
They didn't ask me there. They didn't ask me.
Okay.
It was literally at a family function, because I have family in North Carolina who are my cousins who are white, who they're like family to me. And so this is one of their friends who came up and asked me. And because I'm all their children call me Uncle Chris and all that, and I go to their graduations. I was best man at my nephew's wedding last year. So that's how close I am to them. And this is one of their friends who came up to one of the sons, I think his high school graduation, and I'm off to the side again with my plate of good food, really good food. And this guy comes up and makes that statement to me. And I thought, oh my God, if I push this plate in your face, oh, it's a thing. It's going to be a thing. Wow. And then it'll be, I'm the angry black man. Then it becomes that. It differs to like, why would he think to ask you that question? So, but and the other time it was after I had performed at, it was Saturday sundown. I used to do this cabaret out in Odenton, Maryland at the Epiphany Episcopal Church. And I would sing about every other week, different songs. And then after it was over, myself and the composer and his one of the guests, who I think it was his girlfriend too, we would go out and eat. So this person had played, I think he played electric guitar in a band. And we're at this Asian bistro, which I think is out in Crofton, or I mean, don't go there and say, "Oh, this is the place where Chris Haley got asked." Whatever. Oh, yeah. but it was out there.
Crofton, by the way, is Anne Arundel County for the.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Go ahead out there and ask. Did Chris Haley eat here?
Is this where he busted somebody upside his head? Is this a way? Is this a stool he was sitting on when all of a sudden he got Tourette's? Whack! And we're sitting there. And if again, it was like I was in a funnel. I happened to be sitting next to this guy, and he said, I don't know if slavery was such a bad thing.
Was he drunk?
No. I mean, if he was drunk, he was really hiding it well. And again, I thought, oh my gosh. And I think I had rockfish. I think I remember it was a big old plate of rockfish, and it was really good rockfish too.
My favorite fish.
Oh my gosh, it was so good, Terrence. And I don't know, I probably had a Mai Tai, something that was also tasting good, something that was not worth spilling, not worth splashing up in the air.
Right.
And I'm sitting near these, and this person was the first time I met him, and I feel like I'm not going to meet you again. This is pretty much the end of our friendship. And he asked me that. And again, I looked around the table and think, did anybody else hear this person ask me that question? If so, save me.
And nobody said a word.
Save me from myself, because I don't know. But nobody did. Nobody said. It seemed like everybody was in their own little, I don't know, conversation. And
isn't that life though?
Yeah, I guess
that's life. That's life. When you look at the world and put it in a small place, condense everything, just look at everything, condense it in a way that you can see everything at the same time.
Right.
Everything is like most things in this world is just like what happened to you at that table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy said something. Nobody else hears it or sees it, but you can bet your bottom, you know, from what they portray. But you can bet your bottom dollar somebody heard it or saw it. They turned a blind eye. So, I'm not getting in that.
You know what? Now that you say that, I don't doubt that because if I had heard it for somebody else, my thought would have been like, it's open like out of the corner of the side of your face, like you do a side eye, and you think, I know I didn't hear that, and you're looking to see the person to whom it was said, because based on how that person reacts, you think, okay, well, it's not a fight, it's not, things aren't going across the room, so maybe I didn't hear it that way, or maybe it's not in the context in which I heard it, which is buck wild crazy. So maybe that's it, and that's what I ended up thinking, because later on I did say to some of the people there, I said, do you know that your friend asked me that? And they were like, and I mean, not to say that they were outright, no, he didn't say that, but they were sort of like, really? What, why would he say that? And I'm thinking, well, I just met him that day. I just met him that day because he was playing music behind me, and you supposedly knew him because he's your friend. Why don't you tell me why he would say that? And maybe that's more of and then it becomes a situation where then it becomes an excuse. Well, he has this going on, or he has that going on, or I'm sure you meant that, or it's just this uncomfortable silence, like, because there's no excuse for it. There's no explanation for it. And I think that goes back to the what has become part of the situation with Black people today, with the George Floyd trial, and so many different things that even the movie right now with Judas and the Messiah. I mean, all those different things that are still talking about the legacy of continued African American inequality and mistreatment, and people wonder why Black people aren't angry all the time. And it's like, because we have to live our lives. We can't afford to be angry 24/7, or we can't exist. So it's not, quite frankly, fair for someone else to expect me or you or somebody else to be upset whenever anybody says something about our uncles, or whenever anybody says something, because there's only so many hours of the day, so many minutes in an hour, so many seconds in a minute that we have to survive. And if we spent them all being upset at every single time, every single instant that someone did something to disparage our family or our heritage, we could not step forward to deal with the bigger picture. Because some of the people who are saying these things, they're not worth our time. They're really not worth, they're not worth a response. And these two individuals, quite frankly, I guess in retrospect, I feel like even the fact that they had the whatever you want to call it to say that, I'm thinking, no, you want an excuse. You want an easy way out, but you're not worth my time.
Was this before or during Trump being in office?
This is before.
So this
is before Barack Obama.
Really?
Yeah, this is before that. Believe it or not, during Barack Obama, nobody said that to me. Nobody said that anymore. No, this is probably during. I think this is during Bush.
George Bush.
Yeah, George Bush. Yeah, it was 2007, because I remember I was doing a lot of speaking. That was, I think, the 30th anniversary of Roots too. I was doing a lot of speaking, one time I had just gone to do a presentation at the Department of Labor. Mm. And then I think 2 weeks later, I did one for the Department of Mining, Health and Safety and Labor, at which point I was actually encouraged or asked not to bring it up in my talk, because in the other talk I had said, by the way, someone said this to me, and people don't understand, what? I can't believe that. And so I said, yeah, that really, because it was about the legacy of slavery in Maryland. And I thought, can you believe that somebody said that to me? And so that got back to one of the organizers, and one of the organizers said, "Well, we really would like it if you don't bring it up at the next one." I thought, but it's true.
It's relevant.
It's relevant to the legacy of slavery, and the legacy of slavery is that someone in 2007 or 2006, 2007 feels like this is okay to say to somebody,
or think that the whole thing, which was a holocaust of black folk, wasn't so bad.
Right.
You know, oh my
God. and the justification was because how bad things are in Africa with all the dictators and this, that, and the other. And then you want to go, well, where did they get this? Where did that come from? Because as so well put in Black Panther, the colonizers came in and tried to change the world and try to put people against each other and try to put different people from African tribes, African countries against each other for weapons, or so that they could defend themselves against other tribes, or just like Britain defends itself against Italy, defends itself against
France.
Spain, against France. I mean, it's not like, I talk to kids about this. It's not like people should assume that all black people are alike, which is that awful cliche. Just like we don't assume that all white people are alike. But Queen Elizabeth arguably has her cousin, Mary Queen of Scots, put to death. People don't say, look at this white woman had her white cousin put to death. People don't say that. They say Queen Elizabeth had her cousin put to death, or her advisors had her put to death. It doesn't become an interracial thing. It's not spoken of those words. But when black people do it, it becomes, wow,
black on black crime.
Right, black on black crime and this, that, and the other. It's homogenous. And
well, you think about it, when you get an African dictator, who is 99.9% of the time propping them up?
Right, exactly.
It's a European power.
Right.
That's propping them up and keeping them where they are to the point where when they get to the point where the monster that they created has gotten to the point where he feels like he's just as powerful as they are. Then they want to get him out.
Mm-hmm.
Then they want to get him out. They want to replace him with another soon-to-be dictator,
right?
Who is their yes boy,
right? Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I always looked at it like this: African dictators are traitors to their people.
Mm-hmm.
I've always looked at it like that. They're traitors to the people because they use outside influence to prop them up and stay in power.
Mm-hmm.
But what they always but what always gets them is the ego. Idi Amin. When they get the ego,
right. Exactly.
Then the powers that put them there says, "Oh no, we can't do it anymore. We're taking the throne back." So they're never really the king or the leader of the country. It's some foreign power that's using them as a vessel to control the populace so they can get what they want out of the country.
Right. No, it's so true. It's a pattern that's been perpetuated and completed and repeated over and over and over again, and then it's used against black people as being, well, that's how African nations are acting, and forgetting about who influenced it, who put that, who came into their sphere and supported the dictator, as you said, to do the things they did to their own people.
Offered arms and covert intel and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take it a step further and you look at how they got into Africa in the first place. They did the same thing they did to the Native Americans, plied them with vodka and liquor and a few little shiny objects. You know, the tribal chief is the leader of certain villages or whatnot is not thinking clearly when he's drunk.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of they got a lot of these leaders. You know, they kept them drunk. And the whole time they're sneaking slaves out the back door.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know,
right.
So it's the same tactics they used on the Native Americans, plying them with alcohol, bringing smallpox, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't know that the Africans on the continent had a cure for smallpox.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know that. And you brought up the Banneker Douglas Museum earlier. People, that's in Annapolis. Everybody that hears this broadcast, you should go and check that out. They actually have a partial piece of an actual slave ship in there on display. If you don't know anything about the Igbo, you can learn a lot about the Igbo there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're in Maryland or planning to visit Maryland, make sure you go to Annapolis and visit the Banneker Douglas Museum. It's right around the street from the Capitol,
Right,
the
it's
State
Franklin
House.
Street.
Yeah,
Franklin Street.
So let's get into your uncle.
Okay.
First of all, what's the thing you miss about him most?
Well, shoot. You know, when he was, we were teasing each other about once you win the lotto, you owe $5. And all of a sudden, that $5 becomes $50, and this, that, and the other. When I was really young, we'd just say single digits, he would come into town, and he would give my brother and me, I think it was a $5 or $10 bill. And of course, being so young, that was huge.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah, we couldn't even imagine anything that would cost $5 because anything that much. We were just trying to buy a comic book or some bubble gum, so nothing in our lives cost that much.
Penny candy. If somebody gave me $5 back then, I'd be still spending that $5 a week later, man. You how much candy you can buy? How much penny candy you can buy with $5?
Right. This is my money.
It's a wonder I had a tooth in my mouth by the time I was 12.
Exactly. See, and I just wish that if I'd have saved that $5 by now, who knows how much money would have been. I could have invested it. Well, anyway. But that's I wouldn't be at the State Archives right now. This is the $5 that my Uncle Alex gave me in whatever. But I mean, I wish he was around so that I literally could talk to him about some of these matters that are going on today and get his point of view on them, because people would assume what his point of view is, and people would assume what he might think about things, and different persons who are holding positions of influence and power, and even when the last Roots was done, the one in the Roots Reimagined, which is 2016, to just ask him, well, what did you think of this? What did you feel about that portrayal of how things were not as they were portrayed in Roots the book or Roots the first broadcast? What do you think of that? And then how genealogy has exploded, and not only exploded in the way that it's covered on TV shows such as African American Lives or Who Do You Think You Are, but that people have much more access to genealogical resources because of Ancestry.com or African American. It's Rick Kittles and what is your name? Angela. Ooh, I know her. Oh, Angela, I'm so sorry, I'm not remembering your name. but African American Ancestry, I think that's what the name of the organization is, their company is. And family.
African Ancestry.
Yeah, African Ancestry. It's Rick Kittles and Angela. Can't think of her name, but Google it. You'll find it. But
I'll be reaching out to them soon.
Yeah, they should be on. They're very, very good too. But just how probably thrilled he would be at the fact that those resources are available now, and how much better it would have been for him, or easier it would have been for him to probably, well, I won't say easy, but how much more convenient, if that's a better word, it would have been for him to try to do the story, that the research that he conducted by sending it out to a lot of different people to help him. He probably could have done more himself, or double checked more things himself, and spent maybe more time writing it, or getting to the point where he wanted to write a separate book about Henning. He wanted to write more books, but it took so long to continue to complete Roots that it was, and then he had to go on the tour, like everywhere, to talk about it, that it was very hard to take that me time, that solo time, to sit down at a computer, and at that point at a typewriter, and plunk out the words. And even now, the difference that we have, in that we have our typewriter, we have our external drives, we have our big C drives and our computers, and we can save different versions of our drafts. There, you've got your pad, and you've got to cross something out, and then you go back to it, then you cross something out, then you write over it. I mean, it's just so much more tedious. I mean, now it's about, oh my God, did I save that? Oh my God, I hope I didn't delete that. I mean, so it's still gonna be pretty scary, but still, I think it would have been so much more I think potentially so much more convenient again for him to have created more work that he wanted to create, and then to see it manifested with all the different networks that we have today and all the different channels and such as your podcast today, where he could speak about these things and all the complexity that's going on and all the different issues that are going on today, that he could speak about that. He could be, I mean, probably if he was alive, there wouldn't be all these statues, but he could speak about Black Lives Matter. He could speak about the over-criminalization of the African-American race. But he could speak about that because of the research that he has done. And I would want to ask him that, especially because of my job, being director of the study of the legacy of slavery in Maryland. He wasn't, that was after he had already passed away.
Speaking of which, where are those notes? Do you have access to those notes?
I think mostly they're at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. He donated a lot of those were left in his will. Much of them were left in his will to that. I think some other ones are potentially in the hands of collectors. Yeah, potentially there's some in the hands of collectors. There's an early version of Roots, which I actually have a copy of when my father got it, which is just a report, which is at like 18 pages, which is called Before This Anger, because that's the original title of Roots, was Before This Anger. And it shows pictures, just 3x5 pictures, color pictures of when he went to Zoo Parade, probably back in the 1960s, and shows some of our African cousins and the villagers there. And you could just tell, because it's kind of that faded color sepia tone, and it's just pasted into paper where it's typewritten words on it. And that's one of the other things where it's just his actual early terminology. And in this book, and this really small, as I said, I think it's 18 pages long. He even mentions that he hopes to be able to find the ship on which the African landed. So this has got to be back before 1967, because that's when he actually got into the Maryland State Archives, or then the archives, the Hall of Records, and was able to find the date that corresponded to be the Lord Ligonier. So it's just, the things that you see that are just little clues that I probably would show him and say, what were you thinking when you wrote this, compared to like 3 years later when you actually had found that? Because it's almost like you can find the evidence of the path that he took to find out different things. And when he found out different things based on some of these papers that we find that are just here and there.
When he went to Africa and met with the people from that tribe or that village, did any, because I know the African culture and African American culture is word of mouth. Our history is mainly word of mouth. Even when they call them what you call them, you remember what you call them. So when he went and visited the village and he gave your ancestor's name, Kunta Kinte, was there any of the elders of the village that said, "Oh, we remember, I heard tell of him." Can't say remembered him, but I've heard tell of him.
You really do think I'm old, don't you? No. I said, you really do think I'm old, don't you? Like I was back there.
No. I'm saying, did your uncle ever say anything like that? Did he write it, or
he said that he sort of alluded to different aspects of the story, and then the griot would start recounting a long tale that was of that family line, of the Kinte family line, which eventually, and this is, I think he said after hours and hours, got to the point where they mentioned someone who had left the village to try to find wood for a drum and never came back again. Now, subsequent to that, so that's how it sort of came out, that is within that retelling of the whole family line, he was able to relate it to what he had been told, the little snippets that he had been told from his Aunt Elizabeth and his grandmother Cynthia. I think it really was Aunt Elizabeth, though, from what I understand. But part of what's so, I think, fascinating about that is that he you can only go in there with this, with a like a, I don't know, your mind is just full of all these different, like you could say, if you have a jar of jelly beans, or a jar of fortune cookies, and they all have a different fortune, but you don't know which one says that. So he's got all these different facts in his head, all these different words he's heard. And so he goes in there and he's just asking people, like, if you do genealogy with anybody, and I hope to write a book about this. I actually decided 2 days ago I'm going to write a book about talk your life into existence. I really guess what I'm going to call it, about how that's really one of the, I think, forgotten and not as used aspects of genealogy that we just don't do as much now, which we really should go back to. And that's just, quite frankly, talking to people. It's not just texting people. It's not just emailing people, but actually sitting down and talking to people about their ancestors and talk to your father. Okay, but that's my book. Anyway, but so you got all this stuff in your head, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting to see if anything clicks. And so he's sitting there, and they go on and on and on. And then they talk about the person who went off to find wood to build a drum and never came back again. And that's when it clicks. And that's when it confirms what he had heard for so many years before, but there was no written history of. So all there is to confirm it is someone telling you that story, someone recounting that story, who you never talked to before and who's never talked to you before, but they know this story. And I think that's what was relayed to me about what that experience was for him.
So I'm going to ask you one more question about your family. Then we're going to talk about you.
Bah!
So
well, let me have an
okay.
See, all these commercial plugs get me $5. Okay.
You know what? I don't even take aspirin.
Oh, see, I
don't take aspirin.
When I've been to some place, you know those places you tell me to go to, Terrence. No, I'm kidding.
No, see, the places I tell you to go to, the only thing you're doing is tipping. Believe me, you don't need no aspirin in there.
I know, right?
Growing up in your family,
right,
and knowing about your 8 times great grandfather and your 7 times great grandmother, right, and then your uncle. Do you think that it gave you a mindset growing up that you could achieve more than average of a life?
I don't know if it gave me the point of view that I well, maybe it did. I mean, it certainly gave the
uh-oh. That's a funny way to freeze, though. I ain't gonna lie. Let's see if there he goes. Now he's back.
Now, oh yeah, I saw that. We were spinning in talking about the Twilight Zone. we were in the Twilight Zone for that second.
That's not the funniest part. You should see what posture you.
Oh, really? Oh, was it terrible? Did I need an aspirin right then?
Yeah, you might. I take one now if I were you. When you play that back, you see how you froze. I had to say it like what well, I gotta admit that's funny the way he froze.
Too much fiber? What was something
yeah. That's what it looked like you was doing.
It's an amazing. See, that's why you need a good editor. That's why I said.
Oh, this is live.
When you have these live things that happen, like, there has to be a show called. And we should probably you're on mute.
Yeah, come off mute. Come off mute.
Paparazzi takes that picture, and whenever they take that picture, that's when you just belched or something like that. It's like that was really good. That's what happened. Okay, that's my background in theater. Okay, that's my theater background coming out. But yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. So it's like when all that was happening and when it started happening more and more, that I always had the feeling that I wanted to be. I was put it out there. A famous popular actor, writer, actor, singer, not even writer, but popular singer and writer. That's actor. That's what I really, really wanted to be. So wanted to be that. When he became huge, then it was like, could I be that? Because up to that point, there was nobody in my life who was that huge. So for me to have these dreams as a kid, it's still just a dream. It's like a fantasy because there was no one in my own life who had achieved that. So it's just like when we spoke earlier about how it's I don't know, challenging or whatever it is when you meet a famous person, or what it's like for me to be acknowledged, recognized, whatever, as a descendant or a relative of a famous person. It's like if somebody were to see Oprah on the street, or if somebody sees the president up close, you're like, wow, I can't. That's at this. He's shorter than I thought, or he's lighter than I thought. He's better looking than I thought. I'll tell you this one thing right now that people should know if they don't already know it. Michelle Obama is so put together and so like fly girl, great clothes and everything. I saw her once at the State House because what was it? She was just there with Sasha. I think that's the youngest daughter, and her cousin, and I think a sister of Barack Obama. And she just had Michelle Obama just had her hair pulled back with a regular old sundress. And I'm telling you, Terrence, she was drop dead gorgeous. I mean, however pretty she may look in real life, I mean, on TV or even at the last, and people should just, I think there was a meme about how she looked when Trump became president at his inauguration and how she looked at the last one. She broke out the duds for Biden's election when
she was trending all over social media for the way she looked at Biden's inauguration. You know, everybody more. I think more people was talking about her hair and her clothes than what they was talking about Biden getting elected.
I know. I mean, it really worked. But I mean, she was. I mean, I had to be aware of what I said because she was just stunningly beautiful in real life.
You know what? Hopefully, when we have the unveiling to the mural, right, the Frederick Douglass mural, that somebody from that family will be here because somebody that's close to them is actually being honored in the mural.
Oh, okay.
So,
nice.
So hopefully they will come and be a part of the event. I know they will put oh my God, that might be a nightmare. All that Secret Service and all that crap running around.
Got to be security and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that might be.
But if it's something like what you're hinting at, then that would be security. That would bring security is part of the package.
Oh yeah.
Thing. And not just this type of security.
Only his is gonna be bobbing to somebody that get too close.
Oh my God, yeah, that's see, that's what I'm saying. She was so gorgeous that I just had to be so. And I think I even said to you, it's like, you are really, because the thing is, you don't want to, that backhanded compliment that you say to people sometimes. Wow, you're really good looking, and then you say, oh, so you thought I was butt ass ugly?
You look better than you do on TV. On TV, wow. You're not as tall as you look on TV.
You actually look pretty good. Really?
Wait a minute. You're a little darker than I thought you were.
Right. So go back, you fire your makeup person. Say, you know what? Apparently, I don't look that good with you, my makeup person. So, yeah. So I think I got off track because we were talking about famous people meeting him, and just what I would say to my uncle if I saw him, though. But I would love to be able to relate to him about what's going on today and just see what he would say, because part of the reality is that, because of the city dock, because of the memorial at the city dock, as you know, many of the demonstrations which are held today end up going toward the city dock, or they either start or they end at the city dock at my uncle's statue. And so
I think they should, you don't think they should start from there, because a lot of our African American history, millions of us started from that dock. When we first stepped foot on American shores, started from that dock. So if I'm not criticizing anybody else's work, but if I was doing it, if I was organizing it, it would start from that dock, and we march from that dock the same way we were marched from that dock, but with a different purpose.
No, I got you. No, that makes sense.
And a different status. I would let that be the end point. I'd let it be the beginning point. I'd march inland from there.
Right. Because that is what happened, and just with a different point of view and with a different outcome. We're starting from here toward a different outcome than what our ancestors had to endure. So we start from that with that in mind today. And this year, by the way, I have to keep that in mind though, because this year is the 100th anniversary of my uncle's birthday, because he was born in 1921, and also it's the 100th anniversary of the Anne Arundel County Public Library System, who are also celebrating. So the city is trying to put together something to commemorate his birth, as are many different organizations around the country, although I'm not privy to all the different ones. See, I use the word privy.
See, isn't it funny how they throw things and you're not even included?
No, believe it or not, they did ask me about being on the committee. So I am on the committee for the city. And even the Anne Arundel County Public Library has asked me to be on their committee too. So they actually have come to me. So yeah, and I'm very, very happy and glad to be on there. So yay, Gavin Buckley, yay, Mary Buckley, thank you. And Skip Hall, head of a CEO of the Anne Arundel County Public Library System. Yeah, thank you for having me be part. I feel like I'm forgetting of some other committee. I'm on so many committees right now, but.
Okay, well, I won't charge you for that idea for the march.
Yes. I know, right?
That's a freebie.
Yeah, that's what it's at $5, right? You take that $5.
Yeah, it does at $5.
Now you get that fiber joke.
Hey, that's live. I can't do nothing about that one. but in the words of a famous man, that's what I do.
That's what I do. That's exactly right. Oh my God, I love that commercial.
That was funny.
I shouted because that's what I do. Right.
And it was. And I was told it wasn't scripted either. I mean,
really?
I mean, that's what it was. I mean, he shot the shot. And they was like cheering in the background. And President Obama, him and The Rock remind me of each other. You know why?
Yeah.
Not because of looks or anything.
Right.
But I think those are two individuals that you don't want to get in a trash talking contest with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right.
You do not want to talk. You do not want to get in a trash talking talking smack back and forth with neither one of them. Just the wordplay is going to make you look dumb.
Oh my God, yeah. I always remember it's like the best moment I feel like any president, and he's had a lot of great moments. But when that guy, when he was it was his last State of the Union address. And he said, "I don't have any more." Yeah. and somebody cheered. He said, "I know because I won both of them." I was like, "Yes."
See,
yes.
I mean,
drop.
When he's talking, it's best to if he's talking and you don't like him, it's best to shut up. Because hecklers don't stand a chance.
No, not at all.
Hey, you know what's crazy? He could run. He's eligible to run for president in Ireland.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a good percentage of Irish.
Oh, I did not know that.
They even found his grandfather's clan in the whole 9 yards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's actually eligible to run for president in Ireland.
Because I know there's a I'm going to name drop another person. Megan Smolinac is a person who does genealogy. She used to do it she's the one who helped me do my genealogy, which linked me to my Irish ancestors with doing a DNA test back in, I think it was 2009, 2008. And I was on Who Do You Think You Are? British BBC, Who Do You Think You Are? I think that's right. Yeah, but Megan Smolinac had me take a DNA test for that. And she used to do it for Ancestry.com. She was their head researcher. And I think she did it for Michelle Obama. She did it for President Biden. She did it for, most of the biggies. She is the one behind. I think she does it for Henry Louis Gates on African American Lives too. So she could. She
that guy's funny.
If she wasn't, I'd like to know who did.
Well, I like to know what I like to know mine too, because I'm was it 9 or 10% Irish?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have more Irish blood than I do from Ghana.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you I think the test, the ancestry test is on as a discount now.
Well, no, I've already taken it.
Oh, okay.
You know that's how I know. But yeah, but as far as you know, what's funny about those tests? You can take those tests and it could tell you who you're related to in England, Ireland, and all that stuff. But the majority of your DNA is whether it be from Mali or Nigeria or Cameroon or the Congo or whatever. But they can't give you one family member that you have there.
Right. Yeah. So I've never taken. Well, I have taken the test, but I haven't taken the more modern. I took the test way back when, but now there's more. Well, there's more modern, which are, I think, are more overreaching than what the ones that I took before, which did go globally, but it like they said, it didn't take me to a specific person, except for if any of the people who were on the chart had revealed their identity, and some people did, then the option of you email the person and maybe they contact you or they don't contact you, one or the other. But I think that what they have now, what's very interesting is that percentage, because that is something that I would like to know. It's like, what is the percentage of this or that and the other that I have that sort of, I guess, confirms all the different things that oral history has told me, or the different records that I have told me anyway.
What ancestry now tells you what tribe too.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah. So it tells you what tribe, and I don't think any African American is gonna, for the most part, is gonna find one tribe. Just say, oh, I'm just this one tribe. You probably have to go with the percentages, or if you say, well, I'm part of this tribe. I got ancestors from this tribe.
Right.
I pick one.
Right. Is it from this region or that region? At best, that's probably what you would get. Is this region or that region?
I would go with the one that has the highest percentage per country. DNA, right. Your highest DNA percentage. Right. I go with that region, and that I don't like to call them tribes, but I'll figure out another word for it.
Right. I mean, it's country, villages, communities, or maybe communities is maybe that's. I mean, I guess to some degree, I always feel like however you want to be identified is how I'm going to honor you, or how I'm going to respect you. I mean, that's when to me the whole situation, which is going far afield, but I guess because I have Cherokee and I have do I have Blackfoot in my background? Creek, maybe it's Creek I have in my background, and others too, because I don't remember. But when the whole thing about what should the Washington football team call themselves, and what should the Kansas City Chiefs call themselves, or things of that other, and I said, you know what, I don't identify as indigenous, as Native American, as Indian. I identify primarily as an African American. But if someone who is Native American says I'm offended by the Washington Redskins, then I'm going to say, okay, well, you identify as that, so I'm respecting you. It differs to so many persons who are saying, like, oh, well, they don't really mean that. You're being too sensitive. And say, you know what? Do you identify as Native American? Do you identify as indigenous? Because what does it matter? I mean, it's not something that should affect you. I would respect the person who is affected by that name or by that title. And so I would just say, as far as what our lineage might be, I would respect whatever you feel. I mean, if you feel like the majority of my the percentage of my background was Guyanese, then I'd say, well, then Terrence Bailey says his predominantly Guyanese, and I'd respect that. Different say, well, you got some Nigerian in you. I think I'd go for Nigerian. If I was you, I'd go for Nigerian.
I'm gonna go with the highest percentage. We take the DNA test; it gives totals.
Right.
And whatever the highest total is, that's what you are. That's my opinion. But you can You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their, their right to say whatever about themselves. But let's talk about you. And then I got one more. And I got now, after we talk about you, I got one point after that, and then we're gonna go ahead because I think we've hit our hour mark.
Oh, we have, yeah, 1 hour 56, 55.
Yeah.
$5 clicking.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you can't hold it to an hour.
Right.
So you are a seasoned actor. You've been on and you've been in several different capacities in
Right.
as a thespian, in the in the arts, so to speak. As far as movies go, what was your favorite movie to do, and what was your worst movie to do?
Okay. Now, okay.
Pay not included. You can't factor in pay.
Wow, boy, that would be something. This is probably fine to do because those people probably aren't watching anyway, so I don't have to worry about anybody. Or they'll be like, "Well, I was going to give you this big part now, but forget that."
I'll change the title so it doesn't hit the algorithm. or I change it so it goes viral. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. You said, "What about who?" The one that I probably felt worst about was not a full movie, because a lot of to make a living, I used to do what's called a lot of industrial films, because I'm not a SAG Screen Actors Guild actor right now because I wasn't doing it so much, so I let my membership lapse. But for a while there, when I was the Screen Actors Guild, which means the Screen Actors Guild Award just happened the other day, and for the first time ever, 4 persons of color won the major acting awards, by the way. So I was one of the persons who would potentially nominate, but always vote for the people who would win. And also AFTRA, which is the American Federation of TV Radio Artists, and also Equity, Actors Equity, which is American. I don't know what. Oh my God, it's sad. I don't know what that means. But Equity means that you're a professional stage actor too. So I was all those things, and I just had them lapse. So I'd have to pay a big fee to get back on if I want to do that. So part of the main thing I did was these SAG industrial films. And an industrial film, usually, like today, there might be an industrial film about how to do a podcast. And there'd be somebody who's on there who would be the experienced person, such as yourself, who's been doing it for a while. And then it'd be somebody who was on there who's doing it for the first time. And you would probably be training them. There'd be a back and forth about training them. So I was on some industrial film, and believe it or not, and I'm trying to think of what the whole story was. I lived in Connecticut then. It was in Norwalk, Connecticut, and it was with John Madden. John Madden, the former coach of the Oakland Raiders, was in this industrial film.
Had his video game.
Yes, and the Madden game, right? And now he was not in any of the scenes with me, but he was the major star in this industrial film. And it was one of the worst industrial films I feel like I've ever seen. But it was just
not with the coach.
I mean, that was with the coach. He was doing what he does. I mean, he was there and said, "Well, I think what you do is you go here, and then you have a circle here, and then you go and then you go here, and you go inside of that, and please draw circles around my head, and movement, this, that, and the other." And he's doing this, and I felt like that was probably the worst acting I've ever done. And not that I saw him there, because I didn't even know where he was going to be, but it was just crazy. But that was, but it was John Madden, So there's a part of me that says that's the one that would be, like, knock on wood, I would, if I make a big splash in a movie or a TV show, that'll be the industrial film that's on some talk show. Well, Chris, remember when you were in this? Like, oh
no. They do it to everybody once they make it, though.
Yeah.
But the coach reminds me of, like, if he was a full-fledged actor, he puts me in mind of somebody who would probably be like a John Candy.
Yes, definitely. I would certainly see that.
To be serious, but he's still be hella
exactly. Because he's making the Benjamins, he's making $5 per second. I mean, he is rolling in it, and it was just a breeze for him anyway. Because
I said John Candy. I meant Goodman.
Oh, John Goodman. Yeah, right. Well, either or, right? Because they're both big guys who were known primarily for being funny, funny character actors. Then another one who I thought, now, quite frankly, the best one I feel like I did. Then I'll try to see a movie which people might have seen though. But I did one of my first ones that I ever did. I had lines and I had to do them two ways. And I was the new person in the box, such as learning how to do a skill, learning how to do a job. And I was supposed to do it one way where I was very nervous about the whole job. And then the second way, I was very confident in how to do it. So I did the lines the same way both ways. And then it was the other person's turn. It was his close-up, so to speak. And so he was not remembering any of his lines. He was an older gentleman. Not that that has anything to do with it, but he was older. He was a guy. Right? No, he was older than both of us. He was significantly older.
No, I'm just saying we're both getting older, so we can't talk about older people. You know
what I'm saying? Right. But even then, I would have been young compared to most people.
Oh wow.
But because I was probably just 20 something. I was 20 something. He had to be 60, 70, whatever. But he looked older. Anyway, but he was the seasoned guy. But he was not remembering anything. And again, you can forget lines. Believe me, I have forgotten lines. When I was 25, I was on stage and I had to forgot words to a song. Hated that. To this day, I have nightmares about that experience. But anyway,
Deontay Wilder till this day.
You're right. I know that'll be something else. I don't think it was tape. I hope it was tape. But so anyway, so I did my part, and I quite frankly thought I did very well. So it was his turn. He could not remember any of his lines. So what happened was that they had me sit there opposite him with a board with his lines on me. And I was holding the board this whole time. So just like I was playing with the T'Challa thing, it's almost like if I had like this is a pad. If on the back of this pad, like this, I had a huge board and all of his lines were written on the board. And I was holding this the whole time he was doing his lines. And I thought, oh my God. And literally I had to react. I had to give my lines to him while he was saying his. I thought, oh, and that was rough. That was very
actor
rough.
Who needs a teleprompter. Really.
Oh my gosh. And that's a skill. I mean, that is truly a skill, the teleprompter, because that's the speed of it running. And you've got to make it seem like it's coming out the tip of your tongue, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's
Donald Trump did not pull that off.
Oh, no, he didn't. Did it matter?
No, it was gibberish anyway. Regardless of who wrote it.
Yeah, because he would make his ad-libs as if his ad-libs were good, and they never were, as we know. Because
everybody knows it.
Yeah, everybody. Really big.
Everybody knows it. That's his ad-lib. Everybody knows it.
It's the best. I'm the best. It's the best. People have told me. People say. And that's
who are people? Who are people? Everybody knows it.
Right. And this is now. I don't know if anybody. This is now. I digress. But what I was told before, and I don't remember if this was in one of these type of. If you're trying to win an argument, and I hope no one says Chris Haley told me to do this, but if you do, you do. But I've read it somewhere else. I'll say Terrence Bailey told me to tell you to do this. Is that if you want somebody to sort of accept your opinion, say that somebody else told you. And you don't have to name the person. You don't have to be specific about the other person. Oh, he said, well, a friend of mine told me that, boom. And because you have distanced yourself, because you haven't claimed it as yourself, the person will give more credence to the fact that you pulled somebody out of your behind and said that they're the ones who gave you this information.
I don't think that it worked with everybody because my wife would my wife would tell you I'm known to say, well, they lied to you. They told you some bull. I'm known for that. Well, whoever told you that? Whoever told you that's an idiot.
And that's what I would think. But I swear, so many people, and I feel like that's what Trump did. He would just say, "People know this. Everybody knows this," and there's people who would be like, "Oh, okay," because he wasn't. He would deflect from claiming it himself. Except when he said, "I'm the smartest." Other people say, "I'm the smartest." Other people say that I'm the best. We would say, "Well, who said that? Who said that, Mr. President?"
All of them are in kindergarten.
Right. I mean, how many times did he break down and actually say, well, who was it who said you were the best person? Who was it who said you were the smartest? And he would always say, oh, everybody knows. Can you name one person? And he wouldn't. So anyway, so is there a best movie that I can say right now which would not keep me from getting any more parts? That's hard to say. I mean, I felt good about this last thing I did, which was on Relatively Evil, and that was on the ID network. As far as the TV show goes, because I was able to play somebody different from myself. I was playing a very abusive, verbally abusive father to a son who ends up disappearing because I don't know if people are gonna watch this. Probably it was 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, before the pandemic, the year before the pandemic, because my stepwife and her daughter killed him. I mean, it's Relatively Evil is based on real life stories, and so I was able to start off as being a very nice person who had missing his wife, who had passed away not so long before this event happened, had remarried because this coworker became really friendly with me, and so at the beginning I'm taken in by her and her kindness and her caring for myself and my son and just my son, because it's just myself and my son. And then by the end of it, I become this really over the top, angry, resentful, enraged person who's not satisfied with anything my son does. So I felt pretty good about that one. And that's one of the most recent ones I have done.
And that's called
Relatively Evil, and it was episode 3, I think. Was episode 3.
Everybody write that down. Relatively Evil, episode 3.
Episode 3, and my characters
on the ID network.
On the ID network. I'm trying to what the name of. Was it Collins? No, that was I was in before this. You know, believe it or not, I was a bad person in both of these most recent TV shows. And I don't think I give that off, but
he was Clifton Powell and Clifton Powell, and who else always plays the bad guy?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like, do I register that way? I didn't think I did, but yeah, I guess maybe this with the little gray, things have changed, and they start seeing me in a different light. Because before it was always, as I said, the industrial films. I was always a person who was learning how to do something, the bumbling, the Jerry Lewis, whatever. He was just learning how to do something the right way. And some theater parts I really liked. I used to be.
What exactly is an industrial film?
Industrial film is a film that like in the industry. Okay. Like there's probably in the industry, like there's so many industrial films about being in the military. So for yourself, there's probably
too many.
With the Department of the Navy or the Army, whatever. There's so many industrial films that are done on an annual basis about recruiting, about being a good soldier. I was often in something. I don't think it was about military, but I was often in industrial films about mistreatment or the equivalent of sexual harassment. There'd be a lot of industrial films about what is appropriate and what is inappropriate on the workplace. So many times I would be the person who was just learning on the job and just starting, and I would mess up or something. And so what would be the appropriate way to reprimand me for messing up? What would be an inappropriate way for reprimanding an employee for messing up or screwing up a job? And those are quite frequent jobs. If you're a beginning actor out there and you non-union or union, those are the type jobs that are out there probably on a daily, weekly basis. People are hiring for industrial films because even if you already have presented one to your office, in about a year, there might be more different regulations. So they're going to create a different one that you'll show to your office. EEO, Equal Employment Officers, they need industrial films. Nowadays, I'm sure in the pharmaceutical and the medical field, you have to have industrial films. What's the proper way to give a shot? I think there's industrial. I don't know if there's industrial films about people who are suffering with mental illness, but I can't imagine there's not. Like, what's the appropriate way to talk to somebody? What's the inappropriate way? But
I've never seen one.
Really? Well, there should be. There really should be.
I'm not saying it don't exist. I'm just saying I've never seen one.
Yeah, those are the type things that if you're looking for paying jobs, those are the type things that are pretty frequent, and you can build up what's called a reel. And it's a sample of what you've done off jobs like that.
I got my son, my oldest son. He's trying to try his hand at little acting. He sent me a music video that he was in, and I mean, I guess the music the video is supposed to be funny, and he's good at being funny, and they're acting and they're acting like the half loony jilted boyfriend, the half loony jilted broke boyfriend.
Oh my God! Okay,
you know, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I could care less for the lyrics of the song, but yeah, I wasn't watching it for that. You know, I was looking to see what my son did, because myself and my wife have been trying to get him to model for the longest. Now my youngest daughter does model, but they both look alike.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying he looks like a girl. I'm just saying
that's a good commercial thing.
Yeah, you can tell that they're brother and sister, and they're both born on the same day.
Oh,
August the 4th. My son 1995, and my youngest daughter 99.
Okay.
No. 2000. Yeah. 2000. I'm sorry. 99.
Well, no, they're not listening, and it's like Daddy doesn't remember our birthdays.
No, well, I mean, now that I've remarried and I have another son,
right?
And one is 99 and one is 2000s. I get them, but then I gotta remember.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Wait a minute, she's a year older than him, so she's a 99. He's a 2000. Right. No. Wait a minute. No, she's 2000 and he's 2001. Right.
No, I mean the more, because I have nieces and nephews, and like I said, and godchildren, and it is hard. After a while, and it's not because it's things creeping into your head. It's just after a while, it's really hard to remember. It's like, how old are you?
Things creep out of your head. Like I forgot after I took my hoodie off to change either change my shirt or leave the hoodie on, because my shirt got wrinkled under the hoodie from working out. You know what I'm saying? So now, and I'm sitting here after the show's been going on for at least 40 minutes. I'm like,
I know, right? Exactly.
Oh, my shirt's wrinkled.
Right. Yeah, then you look at it like I got this because I don't know if this shirt is wrinkled or not. So I said, well, just put in some kind of like whatever kind of shirt this is, and that covers up any kind of because shoot, how many times do I iron a shirt nowadays? None. So
throw it in the dryer.
Yeah, put it in the dryer, shake it, hope for the best.
Yeah, I did physical therapy, and then I hit the weights a little bit, and I was laying on my stomach, and I didn't realize. Okay, you know what? That fire alarm.
Oh yeah, tell us anything, Jerry. I know you got to go now.
Oh no, that's the volunteer fire department's community fire alarm. It would happen now.
Is it just like a sample or whatever?
No, it's a siren. It's outside on the street.
But it's 8:26. Is that supposed to be this 8:26 every night they decide to do this?
Oh no, that's when somebody calls 911 and needs an ambulance or the fire truck.
Oh, okay.
Then that goes off because all those people are volunteers.
So what did we say that pissed somebody off?
I don't know. It might have been this wrinkled shirt. They fell out laughing. I don't know.
Right. All of a sudden they just doubled over. It's like, oh, look at that person. He's doubling over. No, I don't think it's much. Call the alarm. No, I think he's fine. He's just laughing. I think it's okay.
Well, last question.
Okay.
And this is completely. I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna bring up a particular instance. And
my co-star's here right now. But so this is where the $5 goes. Come on, say hi, Jet. Say hi. Oh, he looks like,
man.
Oh no. He's 1 year old Thursday, so that's why he wanted to get his career started. So that's fine. My dog is
9 years old. I got 9-year-old Kane Corso. He didn't even look at me once. I was sitting here. He's over there snoring. But About 2 weeks ago, I think was the Grammys, right? About 2 weeks ago, and Tamika Mari was up on stage, and
Mhm.
I didn't hear her speech, but I obviously she gave a speech, and then I didn't see this part either. But allegedly she was dancing or something on stage or whatever. Or the um, Samir Rice, the mother of
Oh,
Tamir
right.
Rice,
Yeah.
and along with a couple other mothers of slain young men at the hands of the police, have come out denouncing Black Lives Matter, denouncing Tamika Mari, Benjamin Crump, uh, and a few other people, saying that they are having a hard time getting the things that they need to get done to get justice for their children because of the Tamika Maris and such and Black Lives Matter, and that they are collecting all of this money. Whereas one of the mothers said that they're collecting a whole lot of money and using my son's name, but I'm homeless. And then there's Samir Rice, who says she's trying to build a community center in her son's name in Ohio, and uh, their son's name is getting monetized by outside influences, and it's affecting her
Mhm.
getting done what she needs to get done, and just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Um, you is remember your
Right.
family and what have you. We just talked about
Right.
the Kunta Kinte Memorial at the docks in
Right.
Baltimore, and you're a an archivist for the state of Maryland.
Mhm.
So you come across a lot of history, things that we have never heard of,
Right.
probably never will unless we go in there and actually sit down and crack open some of those files, read some of those books.
Right.
Um, what's your take on that whole thing?
Well, I think part of what is very challenging about, again, that the thing of which we've talked about a little bit ourselves, uh the and I'm going to use that term again, I'm sorry to use it, cliche term, the double-edged sword of re- being being related to someone who has notoriety, and whether that person is famous or infamous, or known for something positive that happened or known for something negative that happened, is that it can weigh on you if you allow it to, and many times it can weigh on you even if you try not to let it weigh on you. And part of what the reality of individuals such as you and me, you and I, who have a famous relative, is that we cannot legally protest, make claims against every individual who probably uses the name of our prominent ancestor, and or writes a story, or this, that, and the other, because they're in the public domain as being huge individuals. There's certain lines that they can't cross, but there's many lines they can cross. When you have something that is so horrible that happens to someone in your family, then there's also that reality of the legal parameters by which you can act against someone who's using your ancestor's name or your deceased son's name to monetize their own existence, and those who are using it as a talking point, so to speak. And I think because of that, it is very hard, for want of a better word, to figure out which battle you could possibly win if you're seeking to stop someone, such as a cease and desist order, from someone who's making money off of an ancestor's name. I don't think anyone could start another Frederick Douglass LLC, because I think Ken, your cousin Ken, has already done that. So no one, I believe, can do that. I don't think.
But this is an issue about mothers losing their children. So these aren't.
Right.
We're
And I
not
think
talking about
the same
ancestors.
thing for that. When they say that that Black Lives Matter and other organizations are reaping financial benefit from their child's tragedy, I guess I want to know how specifically do they feel that's being done. And again, I just don't know, because from what I've seen is that, certainly for myself, one of the reasons I feel like Black Lives Matter is valid, that concern is valid, is because of Tamir Rice. As much as Trayvon Martin, as much as Breonna Taylor, as much as George Floyd, I think Tamir Rice, as a 12-year-old little boy with a play gun, being shot within seconds at a park because police, for whatever reason, felt like he was dangerous. Somebody else calls and says, "But we think he's playing," but they still shoot him dead. I feel like that's the name that should be brought up as a, I don't know, rallying cry is the right word, but that is something that shouldn't be forgotten. That is an event that should not be. And if that means that people are donating money for efforts to, I don't know, whatever you can donate money toward to help fight against atrocities such as this happening again, then I guess I support that.
Let me throw a second stage into that.
Okay.
Samira Rice, the mother, Tamir Rice, she said that rather than having some of the people that they had on stage at the Grammy Awards, they should have had the parents of the slain children, and yet we're not all with children. These slain sons at the hands of police. They should have had the should have had the mothers and the fathers. Well, she didn't say fathers. She said the mothers up on stage to speak for themselves. She said, because the interview, I forgot who did the interview.
Okay.
It was a white guy did the interview, but it was he was interviewing Samar Rice, and it was another lady who was on there. Both of them had their sons shot by police, and they both said, we don't need anybody to speak for us. If you wanted somebody to talk at the Grammys, you should have had us and Breonna Taylor's mother and everybody else who had a surviving mother. They should have been up there. We didn't need. She said she was very offended by. I just said her name, Tamika Mallory, and the way she put it, shaking her on stage and what have you. I'm gonna say this: I don't know none of these people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say yay or nay towards anyone because I don't know any of them. Just like their mother said. She said for somebody to be throwing my son's name around and collecting funds or whatever and have not even met me. We do not know each other. You have not met me. You have not shown up to say a word or nothing like that. But you can fill a room to talk about my child.
Right.
So but my thing is, like I said, I'm not gonna say somebody was stealing or somebody's doing this, somebody's doing that, because I don't know none of these people. I know nothing about their character. Right. I know nothing about them. I don't know them. So all I see is a post on Twitter every now and then or something like that, or hear an arousing speech, so to speak. But I don't know that person, so I can't, but the one thing I will say. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about Crump. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about Tamika Mallory. I'm not gonna say nothing about King, because I don't know none of them. Right. I can't bear witness. But what I will say is when when Samar Rice had her breakdown on social media, and basically called out, you know, made these said these things, and people responded to her by saying, "We understand what you're getting at, but there's a better way to deliver it."
Hmm.
I don't. I feel like the woman had broken down, and she basically spoke her heart, spoke her mind out of frustration, hurt, and whatever.
Right.
I don't think anybody has the right to tell anyone. I understand what you're saying, but I don't. But you didn't go about it right.
Hmm.
No, that's
Yeah,
not your
what is
place.
right? What is right?
You know, that's
What would have been okay for that person?
yeah. If, I
Yes,
mean,
that's the
if it was filled with expletives and whatever, that was that person's breaking point. That's where they broke. I will never. Best I'll say is let's calm down and think about it. But I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
right, and that's what I hesitate to say something was wrong about what Benjamin Crump,
Yeah,
or and Tamir, not Tamir Rice, Shamir Rice, whoever
the
the
mother. So
star is, or because
it's
there's three main women behind, from what I understand, who founded Black Lives Matter. And I, and again, I don't know them either. I don't know what they've done. I don't know what they're doing. I so I cannot and should not speak to what I think is wrong or right about how they are presenting themselves or what they are doing. Just as the same thing for the parents of those persons, these many individuals who have died these unjust deaths. However, those parents feel, those brothers and sisters, those family members feel, I feel like it is justified because that's how they feel. Um, but I also say this, just as I'm sure you know yourself, is that I've come to realize that I cannot stop, however much I might want to on occasion, what people say about my uncle, or what people say about Kunta Kinte isn't real, or what people say about it's a made-up story or that he plagiarized. I cannot stop people from saying that. I can be pissed off, I can be angry, I can say all sorts of expletives, and I can go crazy and dislike people because of saying that. But I know I can't really stop them from doing that. And I think that's one of what, and I've been on committees where people have literally used my uncle's name to raise money to whatever. And yeah, it's crossed my mind. Wow, I should get a dime of this. I should get a nickel of this, or my family should get something from this.
mhm. Or at least you should have got a okay from the family to do this.
Right, to do this. But I realize that that when someone is a public figure to that degree, it's very hard or very challenging to keep your eyes on all that activities. And I also think that, I mean, my Uncle Alex and Kunta Kinte, that's one level of celebrity. There's a celebrity of Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, which you know so well. There's a celebrity of John F. Kennedy. There's a celebrity of Martin Luther King. I mean, there's people who deal with on a level equal and above what we deal with on a daily basis. I mean, Meghan Markle and Prince William, I mean, Prince Harry right now. I mean, my God. I mean, and
That's
when little,
that's like that's gossip. That's gossip extraordinary crap there.
right. And you think, there's not enough bottles of aspirin in the world to deal with when that little boy is old enough to know that he's the
rightful prince, and they would not allow him to
rightful
have the
prince,
title.
right? And what people will say about him and say about anybody he dates or whatever, and when he walks outside, I mean, that's a level of scrutiny and discomfort, quite frankly, which many people will, quite frankly, thankfully, never have to deal with. because I know myself as an actor, once you walk off that stage, you want people to have felt good about your performance because of your performance. People such as this, you want them to feel good about who you are because you are. You haven't done a thing. You haven't performed, you haven't sung, you haven't danced. Just because of who you are, you could be subject to derision or whatever. And I feel like that's one of the situations that is the unfortunate flip side of what the victims of this police brutality have been, because nobody wants to be. Tamir Rice's mother did not want to be a poster mother because her son died. Just like Mamie Till did not want to be the poster mother of civil rights because she'd rather have her son here. So I mean, that's another thing that people should think about when and if ever they think, oh well, they got this many millions of dollars as recompense for their daughter dying, or this, that, and the other.
You know what?
I sort of think they'd rather have their daughter back. I sort of think they'd rather have their father back. I really, really, really think that. No, I can't imagine anybody wants to be that. Like the Kennedys wanted to have the legacy of their father and their uncle were assassinated. I don't think they want that. You know, and I think the fact that some people will put a flip side on it and act like anyone is benefiting from such tragedy, I walk them out of my shoes, right? It's just that. But again, as your point was, I don't know. I hate to think that, and I choose not to believe that misappropriation of the money that's being raised in remembrance of those individuals who were killed is being conducted.
Like I said, in order to speak on something, you have to basically bear witness to it.
Right.
And if I speak for myself, I have not bear witness to any of the things because I don't know none of them. And
right.
in order to bear witness in some form, you must be present. And I have not been present in any form, and I do not personally know any of them. So therefore, I mean, I can take what it is that Miss Samir said as a mother,
yeah,
and what the other lady said as a mother, and she said that she had spoken with oh my God, was it Breonna Taylor's mother or was it Michael Brown's mother? It was one of them.
Okay.
And those mothers in a collective said they as a collective do not like Black Lives Matter.
Really?
Yeah. I'll send you the interview.
Yeah. I mean,
I would play parts of it here, but I don't want it to be like a strike, a copyright strike or something.
Right. No, it probably would be cut. You know, they would video, what do you call it, restrictions, whatever. There's a great. I feel like it's one of the most appropriate quotes that's ever been said, and I use this in a lot of my speeches. So the next time someone sees me speak, and if I don't say it, say, "Well, Chris, you forgot to say this." But it was by Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy, and approximately what he said was this. And checking on Google, maybe I'm not remembering, but I have said it many times, and it's so true. It's that 20% of the people will not agree with you all the time, and I think that's such a true statement. Like no matter what you do, who you think you are, there's people who don't like Oprah because she's too famous, she's too rich, she's too this. There's people who don't like somebody else. There's probably people who don't like who didn't like what's her name. Mama Teresa,
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa. There's probably somebody who didn't like Mother Teresa because they probably got the same thing. She's probably not that good. She's probably not really that nice.
She's not really that old and a virgin. Virgin? Oh, get out of here. She ain't no virgin.
Come on. She was a fine looking thing, but she was young. You know she was.
Yeah.
You know she was there.
She wasn't. She wasn't in there every night. She wasn't. Some nights she slipped out.
I don't think you imagine.
Oh, Lord, forgive me. I don't want.
She was dancing all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen her at Buster, Dave's and Buster's.
She was dancing Casey in the sunshine band with her boogie shoes on. You know she was. No, but I just feel like that's one phrase, and not that makes it easier if you're the one who people are disagreeing with. But I try to remind myself of that sometimes when I feel like I'm doing really well, but one person says something negative about my speech or my talk or the fact that I made a joke about something, and everybody else is like, "Oh yeah, you were great. That was a wonderful thing." And so I remember one play I did, which I felt, well, actually I did not feel that great about the play because it was 2 weeks and I was on every single scene, and it was a lot of lines, and I was so worried about getting the lines right that I never really got well enough into the character. And I as I recall it, there were 10 reviews and all of them were scathing. I mean, they were like, he is so bad, and only one was good. And one was so good I didn't believe it because I thought, wait a minute. 9 people thought I was like, not even a straw could suck as bad as I was in this play. Wow. And yet this one person said, oh, his levels and this, that, and the other. And so I'm disbelieving the one good review because of all these bad reviews. And unfortunately, there's a part of us that will glom onto a negative before we believe the positive. It differs to what helps us sleep at night is to try to think of what can I do to make things more positive about the world? What can I do to make me feel better about the efforts that, of some things that I've said here to Terrence Bailey on his podcast show. So what should I have said? What did I forget to say? This, that, and the other. I mean, one of the things I feel like is so ridiculous is just as we sort of alluded to earlier, when somebody is, I mean, it's a small thing, but when somebody loses the Super Bowl or loses any kind of game and they come up to the loser's locker, well, how do you feel?
What you think how I feel? You fought all season to get here and lose? What you think? You want to eat that camera? Get out of the locker room.
Is there not another question you could ask me, or what might I have done differently? What are there any plays you would have had? But the thing that, how do I feel? And then when they ask those questions about people who have lost a loved one because of some tragedy, how do you feel? How is there not another question to ask to somebody? What do they feel? Well, I feel pretty good considering. It's like, come on.
First thing out of your mouth should have been condolences to the fact, exactly. With my condolences, I know how you feel.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
So let's talk about how we go forward.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a great that's a great statement, Terrence. Like how do you, for others who have suffered, or for any others who may have suffered like you have you, how do you go forward? How can you go forward in the memory of your deceased son? How do you look toward going forward? And then accept whatever answer they have. That's the other thing. A difference is like needling them with what about this or what about that? But don't you feel like you should have done it? No. Accept whatever they say because it's their reality, it's their experience. It's not what you think it should be. It's not, you're not directing their life. You're right. Asking them about their life. And that's what I feel like is so important about, or that's what should be very important about doing an interview with someone who's gone through a tragedy, is that be open to what they say and not judgmental about what they say.
You can't sit there and dispute with somebody over their feelings,
right?
Because you're not in the right, for one. Because exactly. you can't tell somebody how they're supposed to feel, right? You can't tell them what they should feel at this point and how they should be trying to go forward. That's not, because these things take time. That's not your place. Right. The best thing you can do is give them an encouraging word, right, and keep it moving. Give them a hug, whatever. Give them what an encouraging word, a handshake, whatever it is, right, and keep it moving. Right. If you need me, call me.
Right. If you need me, if there's anything I could do, please let me know. But please don't feel like you have to suffer alone. Just like let the person know that you don't have to feel like you suffer alone. Let me know, because if you don't, I mean, I just feel like some of the things that I've seen happen, just in this has nothing to do with it, but in a way it does because of my background. I remember not liking American Idol at all. I did not watch that show, maybe until the last episode of the first season, because once I heard that the big deal about it was that Simon Cowell talked terribly about people, that he would just call people names and say they were awful, and I thought, wait a minute, this has been my life. I mean, I've been a struggling actor, and I get a part, I get this, and for someone to say, well, you should go back, you should get your money back from your voice teacher, this and that, I thought, no. That is heartbreaking.
He was the Gordon Ramsay of entertainment.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and multiple hundreds of millions of dollars from it. So hey, I'm not, as we say, I ain't mad at him.
Don't knock the hustle. Don't knock the hustle.
Don't knock the hustle. But I'm thinking that, but that was not what I could get with as being someone who's in that field. Because that's when you're most vulnerable as a public speaker. You are so vulnerable when you're out there trying to empower people. I don't encourage people.
If you're like me, just speaking in public, you know, you know what I'm saying. Somebody told was the old thing? It's a picture people naked.
Yes.
But in my mind, the way my mind works, and the way I like to crack jokes, that's not going to work.
I know.
So if I picture everybody naked, I'm gonna be standing behind the lectern laughing.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna get nothing out.
You're right.
You know, because me, I'm all about the jokey joke. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to picture everybody naked, and it might be some heavy set people or some real skinny people.
You say, you know what? I know you've got a three-piece suit on, but you need to put on an overcoat because I just think you.
You'd be like, you pick your stomach up. You go get some meat.
I'm like,
no, I can't do that. I definitely can't do that.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here, you want to take a look at the chat and see if there's anything you want to address in the chat?
I do not say anything except that I'm here with my cats. I mean, that's all I see. Howdy, I'm here with my cats.
You got the private chat that you typed to me on. You get out of that and you go to comments. I'm sorry, not chat.
Oh,
comments.
Sorry. I don't know. I need a 5th grader here to help me out because I don't. Okay, I clicked on it, but oh my God, it's all those things there. I had no idea.
There was one at 3:43 p.m. Do you want to? I didn't plan on taking any call-ins. I didn't want to take any call-ins. So I'll just let you. We're an hour over.
Oh my God!
It is.
I don't know. I don't really have much to say about them. I'm glad that a lot of people watch and make comments, but I don't feel like there's much to speak on, frankly.
Right. I try to give everybody opportunity to look at if there's any
voice out, speak your piece, speak your truth. That's what I say.
Yeah, if
we don't always agree on things, so that's fine.
Sometimes people put something in the chat that the guest actually forgot. It was like, oh yeah, let me speak on that. And there's a story behind that. Whatever. So, man, I'm glad you came.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
We gotta do this again. And we're gonna close out and put you backstage, but stick around
Okay.
as I close out the show.
All right.
Everybody, eighth generation great grandson of Chris Haley and nephew. I'm sorry. Oh shoot, of Kunta Kinte.
I'm old every minute.
you can't be a descendant of yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Eighth generation great grandson of Kunta Kinte and the nephew of Chris Haley. I mean Alex Haley.
Right.
And this is Chris Haley, archivist and actor, and a good dude.
Thank you. And so are you.
I appreciate you.
Just so you know if you forgot.
Hey, look, sometimes I'm tired, sometimes I'm not. I don't know. I guess it depends on the day. All right, so Friday, we have Brian Bomac McIntyre, the trainer of WBO Pound for Pound world champion Terrence Bud Crawford. He's going to come on. We're going to break down the Jamel Herring and Campbell fight, and we still have the fundraiser going on for Operation Frederick Douglass on the Hill. We're putting a mural of Frederick Douglass in the oldest African American community still in existence in the United States, the Hill community in Eastern Maryland. Please go to Operation Frederick Douglass on the Hill on Facebook. Join the community and donate your heart, whatever you feel like donating. If you even if you do $5 per month, you can do a one-time donation, or you can do an automatic recurring donation. All donations are taken through the Midshore Community Foundation, which is a nonprofit it's a nonprofit resource that we're using, where all payments go through them. You cannot give a donation in person via cash. You must go online to the links that are provided on Operation Frederick Douglass on the Hill on Facebook, and donate through that way, so all money be accounted for. Also, when you make a donation, be sure to put in the description that this donation is for Operation Frederick Douglass on the Hill, so it goes in the right account. Appreciate everybody for coming on, and we'll see you as of right now, we'll see you on Friday night. If there's if we have another show between then, something gets scheduled in between then, I will definitely hit y'all up, and we'll get the party started again. So we'll catch y'all next time.